Hey guys, we have an anime channel called Mystic Sage, where I do a lot of anime stuff. If you like anime, consider checking it out. I will leave a link for that and for the most recent video I posted down in the description below and in the icon above. We also have merch on sale if any of these shirts look cool to you, like Shepherd's Delight. Go check that out in the description as well. So before we get started on today's best team, I want to clear something up. These teams are more to serve as theme teams as opposed to something that you use in the monotype tier. Their theme follows a certain structure, in this case typing, but they're not meant to be used in the monotype tier per se. When playing Ultra Sun and Moon, you should be using these teams in normal rule battles, not flat rules. Unfortunately, I'm not building these teams with battle spot in mind, but free battle and the anything goes tier in Pokemon Showdown. Once again, these teams are built to be used in those two modes, both of which can still have competitive matchups, even though they're not using any type of rankings for matchmaking. I hope you guys understand things a little better, and this addresses some of the recent complaints in the comment section. So as with the other competitive best teams, you guys really seem to enjoy the Dragon type one last week. So today we're going to be continuing on with these monotype teams and taking on the best team for fairy types. Once again, these teams are sticking with a competitive theme and are meant to be used in Ultra Sun and Moon as well as Showdown for fun matchups. There are just a few things I want to echo before we get started. Firstly, Pokemon will not be repeated throughout the different teams. For example, if I were to feature Staraptor on a best team for flying types, it wouldn't be able to reappear on the best team for normal types. So if you happen to think that there is a Pokemon missing from this list that would be a good for the fairy type team, keep in mind that it could be a dual typed and therefore end up on a different team. Now that we're through all the pleasantries, let's get into the best team for fairy types. The first Pokemon I'm going to be talking about is the most obvious one I could include, Xerneas. Xerneas isn't just the first legendary fairy type that Pokemon introduced to us back in Pokemon X and Y, but it's also quite possibly the strongest of the entire typing. With that, it should come as no surprise that we're going to be featuring it as the premier leader of this team. Xerneas has some nice bulk with 126 base HP and a fantastic set of attacking stats at a matching 131 for both special and physical. One drawback of the fairy type though, its 2 generations of existence, is the disappointing lack of physical fairy type moves. There are 3 moves that are fairy type and also physical, and 2 of those are only obtainable as Z moves. The third is Play Rough, which is a pretty amazing move, but is unfortunately not available to Xerneas. As such, we're going to be using a special build for this legendary deer. I put 252 EVs into both HP and special attack stats, and gave the Moss nature to Xerneas to boost his special attack all the way up to 397. Its HP is a whopping 456, so it's definitely got health to spare and backs up the lower defenses. 226 and 232 on the physical and special sides respectively. The ability that Xerneas is going to be using is of course Fairy Aura, so that really just adds on to why the best option I had was to make Xerneas into a special attacker. With only fairy type attacks to use, and Fairy Aura providing 1.33 boost to all fairy type attacks, it was a no-brainer. The moves I put together for Xerneas is a bit of a standard one, but it's really so perfect that there isn't just a lot of change on it. We have Geomancy, Moonblast, Thunderbolt, and Focus Blast. Like I said, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Geomancy is our primary setup attack, one that usually would take 2 turns to take full effect and boost Xerneas' stats. However, we're not going to have to worry about that second turn because Xerneas is holding the all-important Power Herb. It's a single-use item that makes all 2-turn moves take only 1 turn. With that Power Herb on hand, Xerneas' Geomancy immediately doubles its special attack, special defense, and speed. After those boosts, you're looking at 468 in speed, 464 in special defense, and a monstrous 794 in special attack. Hardly any other Pokemon are going to be able to outspeed Xerneas at this point, and if they do in line of special attack, the combo of a double stab and an already high HP stat will help Xerneas survive almost anything and immediately dish out a strong counterattack. For instance, the best offensive mon you're going to have to use is definitely Moonblast. Say you've set up Geomancy and are sitting there with that 794 special attack and want to use Moonblast. It's already ridiculously strong with 95 base power, but thanks to Fairy Aura, that jumps up to 126.35. From there, with the use of Stab, you've got a 190 base power attack to go along with that 794 special attack stat. I don't really believe anything that isn't very special defensive and already majorly resists Fairy is going to appreciate a move. But if they're able to impressively tank it, you've got a 10% shot at lowering their special attack stat by 1 stage. Another option is Focus Blast, which is great for the Steel types and may try and put a quick end to Xerneas with a well-placed Iron Head. While the defenses of Steel types are usually very impressive, many are usually prepared to take physical attacks more than special. So you've got a great shot at taking one out. Focus Blast's 70% accuracy is a bit scary, but this is the best option to really guarantee a KO of a Steel type in a moment of need. Plus, in case you're facing a very specially bulky Steel type, you've got got a 10% chance at lowering their special defense when Focus Blast connects. So if you live the first Iron Head, you've got a shot at taking them out with the next move, Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is mostly here for general coverage and for saving PP on Focus Blast when in a situation where one is used but doesn't KO the opponent. Also, it's very useful to have against poison type Pokemon should they arise, as really not that many have great special defenses anyways. On this team, Xerneas is without a doubt the Pokemon you want to lead off with. All you have to do is set up Geomancy and sweep away. Don't worry though, this is the best team to do after all, so if you're unable to achieve a game-ending sweep with Xerneas, I'm about to give you a whole group of 5 other Pokemon that can carry you to victory. Following Xerneas on this team is Gardevoir, the Psychic and Fairy Dual type Pokemon that you're probably expecting to see as the Mega on this team, but you would be incorrect in that assumption. I've made it no secret that I think Mega Gardevoir is really great, but I've got a bit of surprise for later on in the team that will actually serve as the Mega for the Fairy Best team. While Gardevoir is definitely not as dominant without its Mega Evolution, it's still a very worthy Pokemon for this team. Gardevoir has a very workable 125 special attack stat and a 115 special defense stat, allowing it to take some special moves and definitely push out some of its own. There is not much we can really do on the defensive side of things in this Pokemon, but we can definitely buff up the special attack and bring up its lackluster 80 base speed. I decided to give Guardy here 252 EVs in special attack and speed and make it a Timid-nature. I figured I was going to need to address the speed problem as best as I could to really give Gardevoir a chance to get itself going, and going with Timid-nature really helps things as it brings up the speed to 284. Prepped with a 349 base special attack stat, we're going to be throwing on the choice specs for Gardevoir to make it into a true glass cannon option on the team. Its speed is a little bit of a detriment, but it's going to hit hard, no doubt. The next moves Gardevoir will be using are Moonblast, Psyshock, Hidden Power Fire, and Trick. Gardevoir's special attack is around 523, thanks to the choice specs, and with Moonblast being Stab, its base attack heads up to 142. You can do the math from there, but on a Pokemon that is weak to Fairy, and just most Pokemon that doesn't resist the typing at all, it's going to hit very hard. Psyshock is the next move Gardevoir will be using, and that takes advantage of the Stab for its second typing, Psychic. Psyshock takes into account the opposing Pokemon's defense as opposed to its special defense, so Psyshock's base 120 attack will be very nice against the specially defensive walls out there that may not be showing much in their physical defense. Any specially defensive wall that might be in your way will not last very long against Gardevoir's choice specs boosted Psyshock. After that, there's Hidden Power Fire, which is really just Gardevoir's best option against Steel types that threaten it. Focus Blast is an option as well, but that 70% accuracy just is not something I felt comfortable being locked into when imaging the situations that Gardevoir would be best suited for. Finally, there's Trick, which is purely situational on a switch-in. If you're faced with some sort of a wall, or perhaps an overzealous physical attacker using a choice band, Trick is going to ruin their day and give them an item that is basically useless to them. With that being said, you could end up with any sort of item that might cripple Gardevoir's usefulness for the rest of the battle, which is why I say using this is very situational. This is almost akin to sacrificing Gardevoir for the sake of handling a dangerous threat on the other side, so use this move wisely. Also, before we move on, I'd like to point out that the ability we're going with is Trace. I decided that there are a lot of great abilities for Gardevoir to end up taking a switch in from the giant pool of them that there are, as opposed to synchronized. There are probably not many battles where an opponent is going to try and cripple Gardevoir with any sort of status elements, but if you feel like synchronized will work better, by all means use it. The next Pokemon on the team is taking us all the way back to Generation 1, being the original Fairy-type Pokemon Clefable. Clefable really came into its own when it dropped the normal typing for Fairy typing, and it's been a reliable Pokemon representing this type ever since. When it comes to the Clefable I wanted to create, I decided to switch up from the usually especially bulky one that is seen and go almost entirely offensive with it. Clefable has a base special attack of 95, and its HP is also 95. Both of these stats are what I'll be putting 252 EVs into, and I'm hooking it up with a monotype to push that special attack all the way up to 317. Clefable's HP goes up to 394, and it really helps make up the fact that we're not really bumping up its defenses. This may seem a bit odd to a lot of you, but I felt when I crafted this team that it was going to work out a lot better if I tried to make Clefable hit as hard as possible without focusing too much on how much it will take hits. Clefable also has 3 different abilities to choose from, 2 of which are very viable, and I took into consideration when deciding to include it on this team. Unaware would make Clefable hit consistently hard regardless of what changes to the stats the opposing Pokemon has made, as well as make it take the regular amount of damage it always would regardless of what buffs the opponent has to their stats. The other option is Magic Guard, which prevents Clefable from taking any sort of residual damage, whether it be from any type of field hazards such as Stealth Rocks or Spikes, status conditions like Poison and Burn, and even the effects of an item like Life Orb. Now would probably be a good time to mention that Life Orb is the item Clefable is holding. Thanks to Magic Guard, Clefable gets all of the awards of holding Life Orb while dealing with none of the drawbacks. Now I move on to Clefable's moves, which are going to be Moonblast, Flamethrower, Psychic, and Soft Boiled. Moonblast is very self-explanatory at this point, as I've already talked about it as a move twice. It's the best Fairy type type attack Clefable gets access to, and with the help of Stab and the Life Orb, it hits for 185 base damage. That makes its Moonblast almost as strong as Xerneas's, and that's very welcoming on this team. Clefable's special defense sits at 217, so Moonblast's 30% chance to lower the special attack of the opponent by a stage will come in very handy for the sake of keeping Clefable on the field even longer. We're really making the best of Clefable's already decent special attack here, and with Flamethrower, we're ending up with more of the same. Since not much of anything else resists Fairy with the exception of Poison, Fire, and Steel, we're free to use Moonblast as our main damage dealing move, and the other offensive moves as ways to deal with the weaknesses Fairy type faces. Flamethrower is exclusively here to deal with most Steel types, and can be used as a dice roll against any physical attackers that you may want to try burning. I went with Psychic over Size Shock, since the vast majority of Poison types seem to have lower special defenses than physical, and or are at the same base for both. And the opportunity to lower special defense is partnered with the extra 10 points in base power that Psychic holds over Size Shock really helped me in finalizing that decision. However, I once again say that if you feel Size Shock will work better for you when using this Pokemon, go ahead and do that instead. Finally, there is Soft Boiled, which I basically have acting as a replacement for the leftovers Clefable usually has. Soft Boiled restores 50% of Clefable's max HP, and that's about it. Since the HP is all the bulk we've enabled Clefable to have, it's important for it to have a chance to recover whenever it's being hit by a move. Most of the time, Clefable's going to be moving second, so when faced with an opposing Pokemon that will really hit Clefable hard, you're better off waiting for the late game for Clefable to come in and knock out a couple of Pokemon with its extremely strong Moonblast. Another move that might work in Soft Boiled's spot is Wish, since it can be used with the future in mind, acting as a following turn. The choice is yours here once more, but I personally would focus solely on Clefable with the healing move. Hold on to your hats here and try to have an open mind when I bring up this next Pokemon, alright? It's not every day you'll see a legendary Pokemon serve as purely as support, but today is that day for Pony Island's deity, Tapu Fini. When you take a look at the 4 Tapu stats, it becomes quickly apparent that Tapu Fini is the best defensively among the group, which is exactly what we're looking for. All 4 of them have 2 base stats that are 130 and 115. Those stats are its special defense and defense. The idea for Tapu Fini's spot on the team is to not really make use of its offensive stats at all, but instead act as the Fairy type best team's great wall. I thought it was important to have a Pokemon like this featured since Fairy is actually a really great defensive typing, and I haven't done the best job up to this point showcasing that with the team. When it comes to the stats, we're going to go up 252 EVs in HP and special defense, adding in the Calm Nature to make the base 130 special defense shoot all the way up to 394. The special defense is complemented by a 267 physical defense, which is definitely pretty solid in its own right, and 344 in HP. As I mentioned just a moment ago, Fairy is a very incredible defensive typing, and so is Water. Nothing is going to be 4 times effective against Tapu Fini, which is a wonderful plus. And the weakness to the Steel type is made neutral thanks to the Water typing. That means Tapu Fini is only going to need to worry about Poison types, Electric types, and Grass types. Electric and Poison types have a predominantly special move pool, while the Grass type is evenly mixed. So honestly, it doesn't even look like those special effective moves are going to have an easy time breaking this wall down. That being said though, before we get into the moveset, I want to preface things by saying I definitely think you should look towards other options on the team if faced with a Poison type. With the way this Pokemon is set up, that's really the only thing that is going to be giving it a hard time. Thankfully, we've got second moves on both Gardevoir and Clefable that can get rid of pests like those, and free of Tapu Fini just to stall and wall. The moveset Tapu Fini has is Toxic, Protect, Haze, and Nature's Madness. Toxic is the move you're going to be really using to do the most damage to Tapu Fini when it gets brought out. Like I mentioned earlier, I really don't recommend Tapu Fini being out there against Poison types, and honestly Steel types as well, since Toxic won't work on them. You'll want to get that residual damage going as soon as you can, and from there, you're going to be using Protect to keep yourself from taking damage while watching your opponent suffer from severe poison damage by each turn. I should also mention that Tapu Fini is holding leftovers, so that will work well with Protect. Haze is important to have as any Pokemon that might be setting up can easily be handled with the Haze, as long as Tapu Fini can survive whatever boost it's gone through. You would like to nit setup in the bud before things become a lost cause, of course. Finally, rounding out the moveset is Nature's Madness. Now I can already imagine you guys typing even as I say this, "Mistake, you said earlier using a moveset that doesn't make all use of Tapu Fini's attack at all." Well, I'm not, because Nature's Madness does damage equal to half of whatever the opposing Pokemon's current HP is. As if Toxic wasn't a fast enough pain to deal with, once you start cutting a Pokemon's HP in half, it starts to become useless to your opponent. Truly, this moveset on a special wall can be used to really deviate an opposing team that isn't planning for something quite like this. I put full faith in Tapu Fini to overcome most obstacles you might come across in a battle on Showdown or in Ultra Sun and Moon, though there are a couple of small drawbacks that we'll need to deal with. Misty Terrain is going to be in effect for 5 turns, and it'll prevent you from poisoning Pokemon who aren't airborne for those couple turns. In that moment of time, I do recommend winning things out with the Nature's Madness / Protect combo until the ability to poison your opponent's Pokemon returns. I'm super happy with how this Tapu Fini came out, and I hope you guys have a lot of success using it when it comes to using this team. Next is the only mythical Pokemon to ever get a Mega Evolution, Diancie. Don't read too much into that because Diancie isn't the Mega Evolution I've been hiding this whole time. Diancie is kind of an interesting case for this team because it's the first Pokemon here aside from maybe Clefable that has absolutely atrocious speed. It is base 50 in the stat, which is definitely awful and not easy to deal with. Or so you'd think. See, we don't need Diancie to outspeed anything. As a matter of fact, we don't want it to. With base 150 in both defense and special defense, we actually don't even have to touch those stats. Tapu Fini is a specially defensive wall of the team, and we're going to be turning Diancie into a special attacker that uses its moves to boost its defense. All we're going to do is be gaining boost to our stats, and the Clear Body ability that Diancie has will see to that. Clear Body prevents stat drops by other Pokemon, leaving Diancie immune to an ability like Intimidate and moves like Scary Face and Tail Whip. Diancie has base 50 HP, so we're going to be giving that stat and the base 100 special attack 252 EVs. I also ended up making it Quiet Nature, further lowering Diancie's speed all the way down to 122. Yikes. With all the EVs and natures taken into account, Diancie has got 328 for special attack and 304 for HP. There isn't anything we can do to bring its HP up any more than that, so we're going to be relying big time on those 336 defenses to help Diancie take out all that it must. We're going to go a bit further in our belief of Diancie as a physical defensive Pokemon and give it a Rocky Helmet, so any Pokemon that may try to come at it with an Iron Head or something else will be met with some damage to themselves. Though when it comes to these Steel types, I highly recommend keeping Diancie off the field. I've included something in the moveset to help deal with them, but it will be a lot easier to just use one of the Pokemon that has a Fire type move to eliminate any Steel type threats. The moveset we have for Diancie is mixed, offering Diamond Storm, Earth Power, Moonblast, and Stealth Rock. Let's talk about the premier move of the set and Diancie's very own signature move, Diamond Storm. Diamond Storm is so seriously important as it has a 50% opportunity to raise Diancie's defenses by 2 stages. If Diancie manages to get that effect after just one Diamond Storm, it'll suddenly have 672 defense. Since Diancie has only 237 physical attack, I recommend only using one Diamond Storm unless you're up against something that is weak to rock. At that point, I'd suggest continuing to use Diamond Storm until you can't anymore, or you've gotten yourself up to times 6 defense, which is 1,344 by the way. Suddenly, Diancie is the best option at defense on this team, and it makes perfect sense. Though a scenario like that happening isn't likely to be the case when you're in battle, but it's very possible that every once in a while, the chance to spam Diamond Storm without worry will be there. Earth Power is the next move, and it's there just in case you think you have what it takes to take on a Steel type Pokemon and Poison types. Poison is going to be neutral, but still this absolutely destroys Diancie no matter what you do, even with the possible 1,344 defense stat. Earth Power also has a 10% chance to lower the opponent's special defense by 1 stage, which can be used against other Pokemon besides just Poison and Steel types. Moonblast is next, and you all know about it by now. Best Fairy type move Diancie can use and all that good stuff. It's going to be its main attack that it goes out there for, with thanks to Stab and the nice 95 base. The final move is going to be Stealth Rocks, and gives us a quick chance to throw up field hazards and chip away at the opponent's Pokemon little by little upon every switch in. I wanted the chance to include a hazard, and this was the best place to fit one in. Diancie has a chance to really work out if the numbers are in your favor, and I absolutely love getting to have it on this team. I hope I proved to you guys that even when not Mega Evolved, that Diancie and Gardevoir have a real place on this team. Finally, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. The final Pokemon is our Mega Evolution. It's our only true physical attacker, and it's not technically a Fairy type until it Mega Evolves. Mega Altaria is the final Pokemon on this team, and I have a set here that I think will really succeed because it's not something people are going to expect to see. This Mega Altaria relies on being a surprise to the opponent, as most opponents you're facing would probably expect Gardevoir or Diancie to be the Mega Pokemon, and quickly prepare for that. Altaria starts out Dragon and Flying, but then becomes Dragon and Fairy, so it counts in my books. Much like Mega Gardevoir, Mega Altaria gains the ability Pixelate once it Mega Evolves, which turns all normal types into Fairy type moves. Mega Altaria has 110 base stat for attack, defense, and special attack while having 105 base special defense. With all these stats in mind and its 80 base speed, we're going to have a nice way to improve all the stats, minus special attack of course. We'll start off by giving 126 EVs to special defense and speed, and 252 to HP. Mega Altaria's worst stat is actually in its HP, so it's important for us to bring that up. In line with the 126 special defense, I'm going to bump it up a little more, with the Careful Nature, which lowers the special attack in the process. That's going to really give us a solid 304 base special defense, and bring the HP up to 354. We end up handling a pretty big problem with the low HP, while also addressing a stat that the moveset I've built won't actually improve. We're set up now to move on to more setup. Mega Altaria's moveset is one I've used to a bit of success in practice, and is definitely my pride and joy of this team. Cotton Guard, Dragon Dance, Roost, and Return are the 4 moves this Pokemon takes into battle. battle, and my goodness do they work well together. Let's start off with Cotton Guard, which brings up the defense of the user by 3 stages with each usage. That means after 2 Cotton Guards, Altaria will be at plus 6 defense, maxing it out completely. That is 1024, which is, while not as good as Diancie's, is still very good. Nobody ever expects Cotton Guard to come out on Altaria, so I recommend using it immediately after Mega Evolving. If you get the one off, you can leave it at that and take the 640 defense, or go for broke and use it again and immediately max it out. Either way, the next thing you'll want to do is take advantage of the confusion and a possible switch out and go for a Dragon Dance. Dragon Dance gives a 1 stage boost to attack and speed, and this one will bump things up to 385 in attack and 340 in speed. Now, if you're able to successfully get up 2 Dragon Dances and 1 Cotton Guard, you can move on to the other moves, starting with Roost. This is going to be very important as it's your only way of regaining HP just in case you've taken damage while setting up, so you need to be very diligent and prepared for anything. Ice, Steel, Poison, and Fairy typings all will hurt, but as long as you get your setup before any of those typings can get 1 or 2 special moves off, you'll be home free for the greatest physical Fairy type move, Pixelate Return. Return at full happiness has a base power of 102, and with the stab that comes along thanks to Pixelate, it's going to pack a Goliathan 153 power. If you've set up already, you'll probably one-hit KO anything that doesn't resist. If something does resist, well, you've got the power of Roost and Dragon Dance on your side. Get stronger, heal up, and you're going to run absolute roughshod through any opposing team. Mega Altaria is a secret weapon, and don't write it off because of the setup. It's such an out-of-nowhere set on a team like this with major threats all around it. It can easily sneak up on an opponent and strike like a deadly assassin. Well, that wraps up this Fairy type best team. Seriously guys, this one is absolutely a ton of fun to put together, and I think this is a unique team that takes a few twists on the tried and true and makes them fresh again. Please let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and if you use it, let me know how it goes. Would you guys do anything differently, and is there any Pokemon you'd rather see on a team that wasn't included? Let me know everything down here in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, why not leave a like and subscribe to my channel with notifications on, that way you never miss an upload. I also have an anime channel called Mystic Sage where I create a bunch of anime speculations and reviews, so if you like anime content, consider checking that out. If you want to support me further, consider following my Twitch where I stream a lot of Pokemon content and Nintendo content like shiny hunting, Showdown battles, Explorers of Sky, Zelda, Fire Emblem, Smash Brothers, Borderlands, you name it, I play it. Want to support me further and gain cool perks? Check out my Patreon. Daniel Leone, Lady Crimson, Pal491, The Lazy Leo, Matthew Young, Awesome Lego, Jarrett Weezosted, and Sodden Grider did, and I want to thank them personally for going above and beyond. It means the world to me. I think I'm gonna wrap this up though. I'm Mr. Gumbrian, and I will see you in the future for more awesome Pokemon content.